The following feature presentation is part of the Skywalking Network.
This is what you can look forward to on this Mando Madness mega episode of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Wait, hold on, gotta put on my Mandalorian Grogu world premiere pass. There we go, right over there. Okay.
I've actually seen this film twice now.
This movie sparked my imagination when I was a kid in the movie theater, and he's just kind of trying to do that again in a different way.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam, and you're off.
I loved me some Stinky.
Are you ready?
Welcome to Neverland.
Here we go.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
When I first made Star Wars, everybody in Hollywood said, well, this is a movie Disney should have made.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Best day ever!
Secrets loud. It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Hey.
When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
When we visit the world of Disney, we never grow old. It's a Peter Pan, Never land that keeps us young in heart.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are skywalking through Neverland. I have a good feeling about this.
Hey, Skywalkers, the Mandalorian and Grogu is finally here, and we are here at the forecourt at the TCL Chinese Theater. Julie Gildersleeve is on the camera right now. Julie, go ahead and do a 360. Show everyone where we are. We're giving out tickets right over there to the screening tonight. Gonna go all the way around. And look, there's Alan Sanborn. Coming up on this episode, we're gonna share all of the Mandalorian and Grogu press events. We're gonna give our review on the film, spoiler free.
Yep. And Tricia Barr from Fangirls Going Rogue is going to join us as we share our experiences and a review of the film. We're so excited.
Well, right now, we want to welcome you back to Skywalking Through Neverland. I am Richard Woloski, but now everyone please say hello to my sweetie wife Sarah, who is wearing this very hot outfit in the 103 sun.
Woo, but you know what? It's worth it because it's the Armorer. She's my favorite Mandoverse character, so it works out. Well, we are your enthusiastic podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars, Disney, Marvel, and pop culture fandom. So it's time for your weekly Wookiee Hug.
Little sweaty Wookiee hug, but the Wookiee hug irregardlessly.
Your sprinkle of pixie dust for this episode of Skywalking Through Neverland. Welcome, Skywalkers.
Welcome. Now we are being sponsored by Small World Vacations. They are your travel agency. If you want to go to a Disney park around the world, a Disney cruise, or the Universal theme park, you know where to go. SmallWorldVacations.com and tell them Skywalking Through Neverland sent you.
Also, Spirit Jersey has their own line outside the Disney parks. You can head to spiritjersey.com and use the code SKYWLKNVD and get free shipping anytime. Awesome.
Now, we are recording this May 21st, 2026. Wow. But you know what? Let's do it today in Star Wars history because 46 years ago, May 21st, 1980, The Empire Strikes Back premiered. Now, ironically, didn't premiere here, not at the Grauman's Chinese Theater. It was across the street at the Egyptian Theater and in Westwood at the Avco Theater. Alan, step right over here. Now, Alan Sanborn, he saw The Empire Strikes Back opening day at the Avco Theater.
Yes, I did. I was here for the line for the midnight show at the Egyptian, but had left a girlfriend at the Avco and promised her I wouldn't go in, so I saw it at 10 a.m. in Westwood.
That's so funny.
Star Wars history right over here.
I've never allowed myself not to be at a first show since then, though.
Wow.
All right, thank you, Alan Sanborn. All right, now before we begin our big Mando discussion, we're going to dedicate this episode to Tom Kane, the voice of Yoda in the Clone Wars, who just passed away on May the 18th at the age of 64.
Yeah, our heart goes out to Tom Kane, his family, his relatives, and all us fans, really. We love it. Oh my gosh, it'll never be the same to watch the Clone Wars and hear that fortune cookie at the beginning.
All right, but who's got a story about Tom Kane? Anyone? Who's got a story? Tom Kane's story? Huh? Oh, wait,
Is that you?
right over here. I was his
Yes.
autograph helper at Celebration 5 in Orlando. One of the nicest guys in the world. He signed an autograph for me. He watched our Star Wars fan film TPZ, and he wrote TPZ rocks. This guy is a treasure.
He's amazing.
And now he's one with the Force, and now Yoda did a nice eulogy in a Clone Wars episode in season 5, and that never has been more appropriate than right now.
One with the Force, they are. And our job it is to remember that we will, in time, also pass on. Luminous beings are we, but temporary vessels our bodies are. And we shall all find ourselves here, in time. A moment of silence, I ask, to remember and to move on. Live for the living Jedi, we must. Live through us, forever they will.
We've all heard stories of the Mandalorian bounty hunter and a child.
I only hunt Imperial war criminals. I'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards. This is the way.
After a 6+ year wait, we're getting another Star Wars theatrical film. This is not just any Star Wars film. This is The Mandalorian and Grogu. After 3 seasons as a Disney Plus series, Din Djarin and his young ward are hitting the big screen for a big adventure.
Last week, we attended virtual press events, studio visits, and the world premiere thanks to Fangirls Going Rogue. Now, we're going to share those experiences as well as our spoiler-free review with Fangirls co-host, Miss Tricia Barr. Hey, Tricia!
Hi, guys. That was so coordinated. I was impressed. It blew me right out of my seat.
We get that comment more often than not. Now, Tricia, how much Mando madness have you taken part in? Have you gone to Burger King? We have, judging by all of our crowns. Have you gotten the vanilla wafers? Have you gotten any merchandise?
I have gotten the BK shake, which was very nummy with the blue swirls. That's all I got from Burger King. I don't know why.
Honestly, it's the best thing. You're fine. That's all you need.
Yeah, but did you get a crown so you can look this cool?
You know, it's funny because there were a bunch of crowns sitting at the tables that people had left them there. So I could have just taken one, but I didn't. I didn't feel like doing it. I had Nilla wafers on my trip home from North Carolina, which is a 12-hour drive. So we had the blue Nilla wafers. And I got this cute little, I'm going to share, lounge fly bag. Wait, in the back.
Oh, it's the Anzellans.
Bad baby.
So it's the little bucket bag. It's the bucket. It looks like kind of a patchwork bag, and then Grogu's at the bottom on one side, and you turn it around, and there's the little Anzellans, and they're going, bad baby, horrible baby, bad baby.
Officially the bad baby bag.
How do you now pass a baby out in the streets and not say, bad baby, bad baby? And the mom's like, what did my child do to you? Just sitting here sleeping. Like, yeah, it's a whole thing. Listen to our show. You'll understand.
Oh my gosh. All right. So I know, Tricia, you were at the parks for May the 4th, but there's some more merchandise coming out. So do you have your eyes on any more merchandise in the theme parks?
Yeah, we have the backpack, right? The Grogu on the
jetpack.
backpack. Yeah.
It's like Mando's jetpack with the little Grogu on the side, just like he's in the film. And you got to get the new merch because now Grogu's in a new spot. He's not in a pram. He's on the back.
Yeah, it's like he's slowly growing up, right?
Yeah, it's very cute.
And the BDX droids.
Oh, the BD.
Yeah.
Perhaps the BDX droids, I mean, we know they're back in LA because they were at the premiere. They might show up at Disneyland. I don't know.
Mm-hmm,
I'm hoping.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, those are popcorn buckets, right? Whereas the jetpack is a sipper.
Is a sipper, correct.
Or you can get like a Dixie cup and a half of Diet Coke.
Yeah, you don't use it as a sipper.
No.
That's so silly.
That'd be like ruining it. No, you pretend.
All right. Well, you, Tricia, and we both visited Jon Favreau's studio where we saw some props, costumes, and sets. So I think we should dive in.
Yes, please do. And I think we talked a little bit about my visit on the last episode of Fangirls Going Rogue, but things have changed. So we have to talk about it a little more. And everybody sees something different when you get to go in there. So Sarah, tell us about your experience.
Yeah, so like you, we are shuttled over to this unnamed location near Culver City and Playa del Rey. And you walk in, it seems very unassuming, and then you walk in this door and all of a sudden you're in this room and you don't know what to do. Like, it's so overwhelming because everywhere you look, there's props, there's droids, there's creature heads, there's creature masks, there's all the
Judging by
Mandalorian
the
helmets.
pictures you had shown me, it's like that end scene to Raiders of the Lost Ark, but everything has been unboxed.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly like that. And then even under the tables, and they're big work tables too, and they're full of these
props, set dressing and
right, and they're all labeled as well. So you
like
have
guns and weapons and
all the guns and weapons.
and
then what was really exciting is underneath the work table they have these Tupperware boxes, and they're like the set design for certain particular sets, like an office scene.
So it's set dressing.
It's set dressing
in a box.
In a box, and I really wanted to pull it out and like look at it, but I probably should have
Did
just
it
to see
say?
what they did.
Did it say don't touch?
It did not.
If it didn't, then come on. How do you know?
I did not touch, but so there was these two big spaces, but in this one prop shop, they had an alcove in the corner, and when you walk in, there's well, here, let me start at the beginning here. I have some notes, and I even got overwhelmed just talking about it because it's so overwhelming. So we had an hour and a half. It's not enough time to do all the things because do I video? Do I take pictures of every inch? Do I take pictures of me with this stuff? I was dressed in an armor
Do
bound.
I touch things?
Do I touch things? What do I do? And luckily, Tricia had been there before me and had mentioned, okay, so there is the cockpit of the Razor Crest, and you can go in it, even though it doesn't look like you can go in it. And that's true. So when I got in there, I immediately went to the Razor Crest, and I saw, okay, it doesn't look like I can go back there, but I walked to the very back of the room, and I saw there was a little like scrim that you just walked in, and all of a sudden I was in it, and I was the first person in that cockpit. I'm like, all right, everyone, take pictures of me. So then they started lining up after me. But so thank you, Tricia.
You're welcome.
That one.
If you tell me you pushed all the red buttons, I'll be very upset
You
that
know
you didn't
what?
take one home for me.
I pushed buttons. The seat moves back and forth, so you can get in it. And then I pushed the button at the top, like they do. And I pushed the buttons on the side. And then I went to take that little lever that Grogu likes, the ball, and the ball was not there.
It's not there.
It wasn't.
Had the ball.
Of course. It's in his mouth.
It must have been in his mouth, so it was not there. Also in that space was the Bo-Katan throne. Now, Tricia, you didn't have that in that space?
No, I saw your pictures and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I think that's the throne. And then we had to have a conversation. But yeah, there were some little things different because the Anzellan ship was not there for you guys, but I believe it was at the premiere. And
yes.
And then so I saw the Anzellan ship and got to see like all the insides, and then but you guys had the throne, so still bummed.
And I was about to sit down, plop myself down in the throne, and a Disney person was right there. Cast member was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you can't sit there. But how about you go in this room?" And they revealed this curtain, and it was this tiny little alcove. But this Disney cast member was a wealth of information, and they said, well, first of all, you're dressed as the armorer. Here is the armorer's cabinet. And I went crazy. I was like, oh my God, it's the armorer's cabinet. And we got pictures. And then in that space was also the model of Rada the Hutt and an Amani, right? And those two models were painted by Jon Favreau himself, according to the Disney cast member. And also in there was these bot puppets that Phil Tippett had created himself, and they were used in stop motion in the film.
These are the big transformer-looking
Yes, Transformer
battle droids,
battle bots
you see in the Hutt Palace.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they're in the
and
trailers, and that's kind of what
Yeah.
I thought was going to be the stop motion. So that's cool.
And it's perfect. Like when you see the film, it's obvious. Like, oh, this is the stop motion scene. We won't give that away, but it's obvious. And then I was ushered into another little room where they had some cabinets lined up. There was one cabinet of Grogu things. So you had Grogu's his chainmail and his round Mando.
It's like a breastplate.
Breastplate, exactly.
That covers his whole
and
torso.
And the gimmer stick. They had the little stick.
Oh no! So you knew the gimmer stick before.
Yes.
You knew the gimmer stick was going to be in the movie before you
Yes,
saw the
I did.
movie.
Yes,
Oh.
I did.
Did anyone point out? Hey, that's a spoiler right there.
No. It's. I thought maybe it was Yoda's gimmer stick, but it was like, oh, okay.
Well,
this
they should have labeled
here.
it Yoda's, not Grogu's gimmer stick. They should
Right.
have labeled it like that.
And then also in another little case, they had all of Mandalorian's, all of Din Djarin's accoutrements, like all his weapons. And then in this freestanding case, they had a structure of Ahsoka's Leku. Did you see this, Tricia?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was this white structure, and it was printed out, according to the Disney cast member, by 3D printed, and it was by Legacy Effects. So it was not her full Leku, is the understructure of it. And it was really interesting because it has all these different, it's like almost a honeycomb in there.
So it's what Rosario Dawson wears? Okay.
Yeah, light. So like lightweight, but
Light.
give it a little bit of,
Yeah.
because they didn't want to
A
look
movement.
like
Like the-
lifeless. Yeah.
Exactly. But in that room itself, I happened to be walking in, and I was almost by myself with John Knoll, which is the VFX supervisor, and Josh Roth, the prop master on The Mandalorian. And I was like, well, this is not 5 minutes into this whole experience, and here I am alone with these two. I'm gonna do a Q&A.
You're going to do what you do.
Yeah.
You're going to
Ask the
take
questions.
the opportunity
Yes.
as it comes.
So I was like, all right, well, guys, do you mind if I film you? And they're like, no, that's what we're here for. It's like, okay. So I took this 5-minute interview. Josh,
Yes.
you worked on Mandalorian season 1, and you
correct.
had a very small budget. So I wanted to know, with Mandalorian and Grogu, the film now, how did that budget, were there any items you were really excited about using that bigger budget for in terms of props?
Well, part of the larger budget allowed me to have a larger staff because
Okay.
everything in Star Wars is fabricated. So I was so fortunate that we made everything in-house. So all the blasters, even if we would find the base layer, I had animatronic people, I had machinists, I had people on the lathe, I had people on the mill, we had mold makers, painters. So to have the money, to have the talented craftsmen, because it's not just me, it's everybody in my shop that was building these things, molding and making the rubbers. So everything was exciting to build.
Okay. Was there a particular prop you were super excited about?
I love following the concepts of the original movies where they rented from Baptiste. And so I was always looking for vintage machine guns, vintage stuff from World War I, World War II, what could we do? And we started talking about Shikari, and they wanted the underworld in Chicago. So I was thinking like a Tommy gun, like what's like that? And I looked, and I just kept doing research, and we found this French machine gun from World War I called the Shell Shop. And I showed it to John. I wasn't sure if he was going to like it, but he did, because we were able to use that and put the Greeblies on it. And so that was really fun. I want to keep that aesthetic, from the original movies.
Right. And then for you, John, in the VFX department, were there any fun Easter eggs that you could put in behind the scenes of the film?
Oh, yeah, there's one that's really special to me, and that's we depict a flight of the New Republic fleet, some X-Wings and Y-Wings, and that New Republic fleet has got a Y-Wing with red livery in it.
Oh.
Red stripes on it. And John Goodson, who is our model maker.
Yeah, we've actually met him and had him on our podcast.
So he built this lovely 4-foot-long Razor Crest, I believe is back there.
Yeah,
Take
that we can go in the cockpit of, right?
No, it's a model. 4 foot.
No, there's a 4-foot-long miniature.
Okay.
Gorgeous.
Got it.
So I was working with John pretty closely while he was building that and then while we were shooting it. And he's also been doing work for the Lucas Museum. So one of the things that he had worked on right before he built our Razor Crest for us was he restored a Y-wing that was originally built for New Hope, colloquially known as Red Jammer. It was the first Y-wing that was built by ILM. It went to England to be the art department reference for building the full-size set. And because it was in England for the shooting, it never got shot by ILM.
Oh.
Meanwhile, ILM built the rest of the models that are the ones that you see in the movie. And then at the wrap of production, that model came back. It was damaged in transit and then ultimately was repaired. And John just did a recent restore of that back to shootable condition. And we got talking about, hey, wouldn't it be fun, since it's a red Y-wing from New Hope, and we have a red Y-wing in our movie, wouldn't it be cool to shoot some elements of it? So, got special permission from George Lucas to borrow the model, and we shot it in 2 shots in the movie.
Whoa.
So it's a little Easter egg, blink and you'd miss it. I know which shots they are, but there's a shot where you see a Y-wing firing a missile. That is an original 1976 ILM miniature from New Hope.
Wow. And you said that's in the Lucas Museum?
Yeah.
Now, oh my goodness. So are you guys Lucas Museum founding members now, or have any plans to be?
I am,
Yeah, yay, congratulations. What about you? Not quite yet.
I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah, definitely gonna go see it.
Definitely go check
Absolutely.
it out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, are there any holiday special references in the movie? Because we know Jon Favreau loves the holiday special.
Well, there's an updated ambient phase rifle, and now I think just when we gave that to Din Djarin to begin with, that's a great nod to the holiday special. So we were able to take one, because the one from our Mandoverse was destroyed in season 2 with the Razor Crest.
We just watched that episode today, the tragedy.
Yeah, well, it is a tragedy, but we're able to find not the same gun, but a different model of it. So it's actually on display right there.
Ooh, let me see.
It's got new filigree, and the design is not exactly the same. The stock's a little different, but I always love that nod to the holiday special.
Absolutely, we do too. Well, thank you so much, you two. It's lovely to talk with you.
My pleasure.
All right, so Richard, I thought of you with the Star Wars Holiday Special question, of course, and
I could feel that nod and wink to me as you were asking him that question.
And Josh Roth was like, "Oh yes, we have the Mandalorian's new, what is that called? His rifle."
Ambient pulse rifle.
His ambient pulse rifle, which you see from the Star Wars Holiday Special. And by the way, it's right over here. And you can see me in the camera movement. I freaked out. It was right there.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful.
You had to point out that the first one was destroyed in the Razor Crest.
Yes.
So now here's the new one. And I'm so happy that they brought that back.
Yeah. And it's so pretty. You don't really see it in the film very well, but in person, the pulse rifle part itself has this cool, almost like it's an oil slick, the oil slick colors in the metal.
See, that was why the episode was called The Tragedy, because they destroyed, not the Razor Crest, but they destroyed the ambient pulse rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Forget the Razor Crest. We just want the holiday special blaster. That was
I don't
from
know. The
season
Razor
2.
Crest was pretty traumatic to me.
You know, you can get one of those anywhere. You go to Peli Motto, she'll set you up. And she'll give you an N1 Starfighter. It's like, this, I got to take more than just me and Grogu. So something a little bit bigger.
Yeah. All right. So as I explored, then you go into another big room. And these are, what are these called, Tricia? These
Kwanzaa huts.
Kwanzaa huts. Thank you. They're both these identical sized Kwanzaa huts.
From the Gen X generation, what they had in MASH, right? So
yes.
The little set, the buildings kind of. Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. So one of them was the prop room, and then you walk 2 feet and you're in the next one. And that one is the Adelphi Base, which I know we talked about on our last episode of Fangirls, but go ahead, Tricia. You look like you're going to say something.
I mean, it's pretty cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's where they filmed it. And every time now when I see any shot with Sigourney Weaver and she's talking to Grogu in the trailer, he tries, to take the snacks with the Force and she stops him. Now I realize that that's where it was. And I was actually there. So it's really cool.
It is really cool. And some of the things you see in the film, and just when you see scenes of the Adelphi base, you see like the tables look a little lit up, and that is true to life. Like they are lit
That's all
up.
practical.
That's all practical effects. They have these really cool glasses. They have a beautiful bar, and you can walk behind the bar. I walked behind the bar and I started singing "Good night, my friends, goodbye, my friends" from the holiday special.
Yes.
And that was really neat.
Did anyone point out that you were B. Arthur at the Adelphi base? Like, why did we miss that? I'm sure Acmean is still alive out there. Why wasn't she? Could you imagine that if she were the bartender at the Adelphi base?
Really cool. That would be amazing. Well, it was in here that I ran into Doug Chiang.
Was just like the guy, the art guy, all the way from the prequel trilogies, who worked with George to build all the worlds, and he's been there. He helped design pretty much everything. Batu, Galaxy's Edge, anything.
That's right.
The Mandalorian. And I didn't realize he was this involved in the movie.
Yes, so that's what I was surprised about, because Doug Chiang is known for his concept art and development. And here I got to speak with him a little bit. He is the kindest, warmest guy, and he was not just pre-production on this film. He worked all the way through. So let's listen to a little bit of this.
In this room, I know you do concept design, right? But do you also work on the physical props as well?
Yeah.
Okay, how much do you do on the physical?
Everything, yeah. So
Really?
I always start like before the script is even written with just the idea from Favreau. Sometimes just a description. And so I design the world, design it, and then I work with Andrew and all the other departments to realize this.
Mm-hmm.
And then in post, I'm involved all the way to the end. So my role is from beginning to the very end.
Okay.
Which is a little unusual for production designers.
Right.
And it's a lot. Really was a process that George developed, because he felt very strongly that the art and design has to be consistent throughout the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas usually, on typical films, they're very segmented. So like, normally, let's say my role on a regular film would be only in pre-production and production. And then once we go into post, you're onto another project.
Okay.
And so you lose that continuity. And so this is something where, for Star Wars, everything has to sort of be shepherded through carefully.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's...
And so you have like a singular vision from the beginning to end?
Exactly. Well, I try to preserve that. It's always from the filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I try to whatever the filmmaker's vision is, I preserve that and then see it all the way through.
Okay.
Help realize it.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And have you been to Galaxy's Edge recently?
Not in a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because they have the timeline shift there.
Yes.
So
I heard, yes.
are you interested in in it that way?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
No, I was involved behind the scenes, but I haven't been there recently.
What were you involved behind the scenes doing?
Oh, just redoing, new characters, new costumes, revamping things.
Okay.
Updating things.
Did you work on like the concepts for the costumes for like say Luke, Leia, Han? You did.
Yes.
What did you like? How did you finally come around on like let's say the Leia costume?
Yeah.
Did you try different iterations?
Mm-hmm. Oh, a lot.
Like what
a
kinds?
lot of it was to sort of evolve her look, because she's obviously on a new planet, but we want to preserve what made Leia
Okay.
her costume. So we paid very close attention to how she would wear it, so that in some ways the way I always approach it is like as if we're doing it for film.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if it's a park or for some other venue. I treat designs always the same.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So as you saw, our conversation went on to Galaxy's Edge, which I was like, oh, what did you work on? And I guess he developed different ideas for the costumes, but they ultimately stuck with the outfits that we have now for Luke, Leia, and Han in the parks, because he looked at it as an overall concept for the whole park, like he would a film. It's like, how does these characters, how do they interact in the world? How do they look in the world? And he wants the look to all be cohesive.
Well, not only that, but going back to Mandalorian Grogu, this is the first time he's ever made an appearance in a Star Wars film. He plays Lieutenant Blick, or is it Glick? I think it's Blick.
Okay.
It went by in the credits so fast that did I just see that?
Yeah.
So he's in the background at the Adelphi base with John Favreau and Deborah Chow, and there's Doug Chiang.
they're in the. So Tricia, if you're watching the show, you know where that seat is where Sigourney Weaver sits. Well,
Yes.
there's a table on the opposite side of the bar. That's where all the people are. So
All
look
the
in the
directors
background.
and
all the directors.
all the behind the scenes filmmakers.
Yeah. It's like, oh, Doug Chiang's right there.
It's just what you have to do, right? Since George did it, now everybody has to do it.
It's true.
And now, you know what that means? He'll get his own action figure.
Yeah.
Oh, the Doug Chiang action figure.
So, he was a delight. And he was there with his wife, so I didn't want to take up too much of his time. But he was just so happy, and magnanimous is the word that comes to mind when it comes to him. Yeah. So then, as we were exploring the Adelphi Base, there was this other room around the corner that they asked that we did not film. And that's because Disney Imagineering had set up this space where they were sharing concepts that may find their way somewhere. And I'm guessing it's Galaxy's Edge because of the items they were using. For instance, what they had set up was Hugo's vendor booth. And Hugo is the Ardinian character that's voiced by Martin Scorsese. And so Hugo was in the corner and he wasn't moving, not that I can remember, but Grogu is sitting on his counter. And Grogu was moving around, and he was moving around objects with the Force. And specifically, Galaxy's Edge objects. So like 3 thermal detonator Coke bottles and that new Jawa cookie box that you have.
Oh.
Yeah, do you have it right here?
Right
yeah,
here.
Right
There
there.
we go.
Yeah.
There
so he
you
was
go.
moving those around with the
Some
Force.
photo ops for the fans passing through.
Yes.
So are you saying that maybe the Ardinian
food truck,
his kiosk, will make its way to Galaxy's Edge? 'Cause
Possibly.
I want one of those flat meat sandwiches that he was making.
Ugh.
I want one of those so bad.
Me too. Yes.
Now, have you watched the chef show that Jon Favreau did with Chef Roy Choi?
We saw a clip from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they showed on Star Wars, but so there's a whole Netflix series that they did several years ago, and one of the episodes is actually with Dave Filoni, but he has many other famous people, and this is like what people don't realize. Jon Favreau is such a kind of Renaissance man, so when he did the movie Chef, he got interested in cooking because he wanted it to be legit. So Roy sort of taught him the biz and made sure he was up to snuff. And so they did the show where they would have famous people come on, and that person would like make something, or Roy would help show them how to make something. So Roy did the food design for the movie for this food truck. So we may actually get to have the thing, like this was intentional from the beginning to perhaps like the dishes to be something that we could eat from the movie. And I think that's a cool kind of, because you can change it up and be very seasonal.
Right. Oh, I think that's perfect because, I mean, Harry Potter has so many snacks and food items that you can now eat in Universal Studios theme park. And now Disney or Star Wars needs more snacks that you can do. Like there's blue milk, and then what else?
I just want Hugo to shut the big gate on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ask him a question. If he doesn't like it, he'll slam the gate on you. I want that experience.
I always feel like there's not enough food anyway in Batuu. Like there's not enough places to eat, and they could use some more places to eat that are obvious. Like even some people don't know that Docking Bay is there and that you could get food in it.
Right. Yeah. You just walk past the other places and the blue milk stand.
Even Ronto Roasters.
Yeah.
They could use one more place to get like ice cream or more novelty stuff.
Ice
I know they
cream,
got Katsaka's kettle.
I want ice cream.
But they need ice cream, especially in the summertime.
They really do. Yeah. Especially in Batuu East as well.
And blue macaroons. You know what? Disney, just go down to the supermarket. You can get a whole bunch and relabel them, okay?
So they are this
They are.
Friday. They are.
Yeah.
So in Docking Bay 7,
that's
they're
right.
going to have blue macaroons. They're going to have, I think they said it was like vanilla and pineapple flavor, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
Hold on.
So we're going to have to try
Vanilla and
those.
Pineapple. Yep, you got it. No.
But yeah, I'm excited about that. Now, in that same space, I happened to be talking to one of the Imagineers near the food truck, and I talked to them about the change of the timeline in Galaxy's Edge. And they were like, oh, well, you should talk to that guy over there. And they pointed to Asa Kalama, who is the Walt Disney Imagineer Vice President of Creative and Interactive Experiences, and he is in charge of the entire Lucasfilm portfolio for the parks. So here I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta talk to this guy. Now, Richard, you and I have talked to him at previous D23 expos.
Expos, yeah.
Yeah, they're always in and around, and we love going to those
very
booths.
approachable.
Yeah, and so This was a treasure trove of information. So again, I could not record, so I will summarize. So Asa was part of the original Imagineers working on the land. And the reason that they picked a planet that was not on screen was so that they could put different characters in at different points. So it was always in the plan to rotate characters out. And so with the 50th anniversary of Star Wars coming up, that seemed like a very good excuse to change it up. Also probably how the sequel trilogy did, but he didn't discuss that. Now,
and I'm sure after 7 years of fans going, please give us Luke, Han, Leia,
yes.
Vader, please.
Yeah. And so what the Imagineers really tried to do is give everyone their moment in Galaxy's Edge, no matter at which point that they entered into the fandom. He wanted to make that clear. So then we started talking about the music, because I really wanted to know what his opinion was on the John Williams music now in Galaxy's Edge. And to him, the music really activates your sense memory of the films, and that they had a big discussion on whether to have your diegetic music versus your score music. That was a huge conversation, but ultimately they felt that the score immediately grounds you in the world. And because of this, they went to John Williams' music team, who reorchestrated the music to make it not as bombastic. And so they took all the iconic themes and they scored them together, they reorchestrated them, and then they had a scoring session specifically for the land and re-recorded the entire soundtrack for the land. Like, that blew me away.
And when will that be streaming?
Yeah, that's what was my next question. When will it be released? And that's why it wasn't on record, so we can't get a quote because at some point, she's paraphrasing. I didn't really say it quite like that. But I love all this information, though. It's like amazing.
It blew me away, and Asa did mention that one of the greatest moments of his life was sitting in the recording session with a 100-piece orchestra and John Williams' music team, and like, it was transformative.
Well, you really took quite the opportunity.
Every
second that you were there.
I was like, it was amazing. And again, an hour and a half was not long enough. And at this point, the person I wanted to talk to most, I hadn't found yet. This was Ludwig Göransson, the composer for Mandalorian and Grogu. And I found him right before they started a 15-minute Q&A. So I was going up to him, I was like, and I was about to ask a question, and then someone tapped him on the shoulder. It was like, you have to start a Q&A. And I was like, can I get a picture? So I got a picture. And then they did a 15-minute Q&A with the whole crew. So you have Doug Chiang, you have Ludwig Göransson, Doug Chiang, Josh Roth, and John Knoll.
Well, thank you guys all so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you here. My name is Devin Kogan. I'm an editor at StarWars.com, and I am so excited to be here with some of the brilliant creative minds behind Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and Grogu. We have composer Ludwig Göransson, production designers Doug Chiang and Andrew Jones, prop master Josh Roth, and visual effects supervisor John Knoll. Thank you guys all so much for joining me. I am so excited to get to talk to you a little bit about this incredible film and pick your brains about bringing it to life. Ludwig, I'd love to start with you. You, of course, worked on the Mandalorian TV series, writing the now iconic theme song. What was different about coming from the TV space into, telling the story as a film?
Well, I feel like the way that I always thought about it, and John too, was we always kind of thought about it as a cinematic story, and the amount of time and love that we put in this 8 years ago, which is kind of feels crazy to say it was 8 years ago. And so going back to this universe now, 8 years later, I just, it was kind of like meeting, one of my best friends again, because I just love it so much. So being able to have all this time, when you work on a feature and a movie like this, you have more time, the scenes are longer, it's a bigger scope, bigger movie, and also, with the sound in a theater. And it was just like a dream to be able to do it, and I was kind of surprised with how much I missed this music and this universe.
Were there any specific like instruments or unconventional inspirations you were thinking about as you were working on this?
We got to work with a much larger orchestra. We got to work with a large choir, and I also used all my recorders that I have still at my studio. You know, especially the bass recorder, which you hear from the very beginning of the first episode. You know, that sound kind of became iconic for Mandalorian, and some of the bells, more of the bells, Celeste and Glockenspiel with Grogu and Rhodes. So it was just really fun to kind of go back to that playful universe, but it's playful, but it's now, you know, we're at a different level now. We're the story kind of changed a little bit. So
Absolutely. And Doug, you're somebody who has a really long Star Wars legacy, you know, going all the way back to Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, working with George Lucas. Absolutely. I'm curious, what from that experience have you continued to, you know, kind of carry with you? And, you know, did any of that inform, you know, your journey on this film?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been very fortunate to be working and designing this universe for over 30 years. And I have to say, I mean, the process hasn't changed much at all, because, you know, it all started with George, and he was very specific in sort of making sure that the art always starts with the writing. And that's been the process, you know, with Jon Favreau and all of our other filmmakers as well. And that's the great thing about Star Wars, is that, you know, it is a singular vision from the director, and you really have to kind of see it through all the different phases. And so for me, it's, you know, the process has been consistent, even though there's new filmmakers. And what I enjoy most about working with Jon Favreau is that he is a like mind of George in some ways, you know, in many ways actually, you know, in terms of their process and their creative storytelling. And it's just so enjoyable to be able to still be playing in this universe and sort of expanding it.
Absolutely. And Andrew, you've worked closely with Doug, you know, for many years before joining The Mandalorian. Can you tell us a little bit about sort of your creative partnership and how you guys work together?
Sure. It's been wonderful working with Doug since 2002, I think. I can't remember. Yeah, way back. But it's the thing I really enjoy about working with Doug is I love his visions, and in production design, there's sort of two sides to it. You have to come up with an idea for how you're gonna tell the story, and then you got to figure out how you're gonna do that, how you're gonna make it and get it onto the screen. And Doug is more on the what side, and I'm more on the how side. And so that's why I think we have a relationship that works. And right from the get-go on Polar Express was the first show we worked on. I've had a sort of rapport with Doug.
What would you talked about the how of building some of these amazing sets, one of which we get to see here today. What was the most challenging thing you had to work on for this film specifically?
So for the film, there was sets that were just so much bigger, but at the same time, we were dealing with a lot of puppets. So we had these huge sets that were lasted much longer in the build stage. But we were also having to elevate them so puppeteers could get underneath them, and spaceships that would look miles apart so the puppeteers could get in. It's really fun working with puppeteers and all of their challenges, but that made it really interesting, especially on a project of this scale.
Absolutely. And you know, Star Wars is something that is so visually diverse. Every corner of the galaxy has its own visual language, but there is a cohesiveness kind of across the galaxy in what feels like Star Wars. Doug, are there certain like visual elements that you just feel like Star Wars and feel consistent across this galaxy?
There are, and a lot of that, I have to say, you know, comes from sort of George's lessons that I've learned. And honestly, 80% of it has to be anchored in our real world. So if you look at it, it feels very ordinary. And part of our jobs, you know, for Andrew and myself, is to sort of hide the scenes, hide the construction, so that the audience never really sees it as an artificial world. We try to make the artificial feel very natural. And so in doing all of that, it's actually remarkable in the sense that Star Wars still has this component of fresh and new. And so, you know, Star Wars design for me is really taking what we know and turning it on its head, adding that 20%, whether it's exaggeration of scale, combining different cultures, combining different times, different eras, different aesthetics. And that's what makes it special. So we always try to keep an eye on that. And that's one of our biggest jobs, you know, between Andrew and I and all of us really, is to sort of make sure that we're pushing the boundaries of Star Wars aesthetic while not breaking it, because it is a very specific universe. If you tip over a little too far, it's another film, another genre. And so it's very important where, you know, that's where, you know, working with John Favreau now and Dave Filoni, it's really critical that we kind of preserve that, universe, because it's very unique.
Absolutely. And Josh, you've been a part of The Mandalorian since the beginning, and you are responsible for so many of the amazing objects that we see behind us in this room. Can you talk a little bit about some of your favorites that are in the room behind us?
Okay, so so I've been fortunate to be there since season 1. So I love making all the different weapons, all the different foods. A lot of it's coming from Douglas and his team, their different designs. I really am happy with Rada's axes. Those are something that was really fun. And even though Rod is a full CG character, I know that helps John when we make something for real, and we can have it on set. We can see lighting reference, and it helps the stunt actor when they're performing. So Rada's axes I'm really happy with. I'm also really happy with Zeb's bow rifle. So it's always fun to take something from animation, and that's where we get to work with Dave and making sure we pass Dave's litmus test, which is challenging sometimes, but it's so much fun. We did that with the Darksaber in the TV show, and then to make the bow rifle for the film.
That's amazing. And, Star Wars obviously has a long history of taking ordinary objects and reimagining them in fun and creative ways. Are there any examples of that on this film that you're really excited about?
I'm trying to think about that. We do follow the same aesthetic where we do base layers, whether it's for data pads or for weapons or for different objects. We'll find something, especially if it's from the 70s or World War I or World War II, we get that, like you're saying, get that grounding in the real world, and then add the Greeblies on top. I'm trying to think. I don't have an example right now. I'm sorry.
Tommy.
Oh, well, the Tommy gun is good. Okay, so Shikari's. We go to Shikari, and when we're talking about Shikari and we're developing it, we talked about the Chicago and like Prohibition and like kind of the gangsters of that. And so when I think of that, I think always a Tommy gun with you have the drum magazine underneath. And we found a French World War I machine gun called the Shaw, and it doesn't have a drum magazine left and right, but it has a drum magazine front and back. So it gives that appearance where it's still real, but it changes it perspective, and it gives you that Star Wars touch to it. Then we added the Greeblies on top, added a Star Wars scope, and I thought it came out awesome. So that was seen with the Commander Coin. And it's inside. It's inside.
That is so cool to really transform it and make it Star Wars. And John, you're a visual effects legend who is such a fundamental part of this series. And Josh talked about one of the big things about the Star Wars history is taking traditional practical filmmaking techniques and marrying it with cutting edge digital technology. Can you talk a little bit about how that tradition continues on this film?
This film is pretty broad sampling of technology all the way from some of the earliest Willis O'Brien stop motion kind of stuff all the way up to some of the latest developments in computer graphics. And it's been tremendously fun to play with a lot of the different techniques. If you look I think in the front of that room, there are 2 stop motion puppet droids there that are featured in a pretty extensive, complicated fight scene that Mando has with these droids. Classic stop motion, right out of King Kong. We built a 4-foot long Razor Crest miniature. You'll see it in that room over there. The one that we built originally for the TV show was 2 feet long. So this is meant to hold up for much closer views. I shot a lot more miniature shots of it in the film. So, and something I wanted to do since season 1, but we didn't have the time or the budget for it, is it's a bare metal spaceship. It's all about reflections. In the same way the Mando's helmet is all about reflections. How do you put him in a novel environment? Use this LED volume so you're reflecting all the right things. So I wanted to build a LED volume for shooting miniatures. And on this show, I got to build one. So I built an 8-foot by 8-foot by 8-foot cubic volume for the miniature. And it's a real game changer. I got some really gorgeous elements of that are all throughout the film. When you see the Razor Crest flying, a lot of the time that's that 4-foot long miniature shot of the LED volume.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to ask you about, because I know on the TV series you built the motion control rig for the Razor Crest. Tell me a little bit about bringing the ship to life in this film.
Well, we wanted to do more. I was always very limited by the budget we had available for the TV show and the schedule. The start to finish, we had to be done in a year. And we had close to 2 years this picture. So I had a little bit more linear time to do it, a little bit better budget to work with to allow for a more extensive miniature build. And that we ended up building 2 Razor Crest miniatures. One that was another 24-inch model that is the clean version of it. It's a different Razor Crest. It's new and restored. And then we built a 48-inch model for close-up shots where you see the part on the Adelphi Base, close shots where it's flying by camera and flying in atmosphere in that LED light.
So cool. And I wanted to open up a question to anybody who wants to answer. When you think about this process, was there a day on set or a day during the production that is most memorable for you, good or bad?
Sigourney Weaver showing up on set was a lot of fun. Obviously, she's got an amazing history. I got to know her as an actor from Aliens, and then in Avatar and Galaxy Quest, and that was great. That was a real treat to have her be part of Star Wars.
Actually, it's John's fault for my story. So the first week we were driving the mouse droid. It was so much fun. We had the polar mouse droid, and I practiced all the movies, talked about this is where it's going to go this way, and we had these awesome hallways that we built. And John kept saying, "Go faster, go faster, go faster." And there's no guardrails in space. So unfortunately, at one point, the mouse droid just went off the edge. But it survived. So that was stressful. The first week of shooting, but it worked out.
We had in our largest stage, we built a jungle, which took a long time to build, and it had to be like Dagobah. We had to have areas of it elevated to get people underneath. And it just took on life of its own and started growing mushrooms in there. And it became beautiful, and people would go and hang out there. But the first day we got into shoot there, we came into the waters moving, and a couple of raccoons moved.
I mean, for me, it's really just, the fact that we actually brought designs that I helped create like 30 years ago and bringing it to the modern audience. Like, like the P1 battle droids now have been revamped. Bringing the Staps back, bringing the N1 back, bringing all these classic designs. And I think what's really great for me about this film is that, John Favreau has actually created a cohesive universe now. Fulfilling George's vision, really, to make sure that all the films, from the prequels to the original trilogy to the sequel films to present day, are all one universe. And I mean, to me, actually, being on set every day was just a treat.
I think one of my favorite parts was when I went to set one time to visit John, and I go in there and there's a jungle. I get lost in this jungle, and it was huge. It's massive. It was so big. I've never seen a set like that. And then I go in between some palm trees or whatever, and I see little Grogu sitting there on a log, and I just kind of felt so magical, like seeing your work and being there in person. That's pretty cool.
It's like literally stepping onto another planet as it is walking through these amazing sets. Well, thank you guys so much, and thank you all so much for being here.
So I was very excited to hear that Ludwig used all the recorders that he had used for the previous Mandalorian score, including the bass recorder, which is that sound we now associate with The Mandalorian.
Oh, all the original ones.
Yeah. All right, so then after that, we only had like 20 minutes to go back in, and I took whatever photos I could or missed, and then the evening wrapped up with a screening of the film at the IMAX headquarters.
How exciting, though. Did Jon Favreau stay in there did everybody stay in with you?
So Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni were not there at the screening or at this
event.
Jon Favreau Studios. They were not at the event. However, the next day, we were able to participate in a virtual roundtable with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. So later on, now, Tricia, you and I were going to discuss this whole roundtable, which ended up being 25 minutes at another Fangirls Going Rogue episode. But right now, I just want to play a clip of the question that I got to ask, which was about the music. Hello, this is Sarah Woloski from Fangirls Going Rogue and my emotional support Grogu, right here, Richard. And I was very excited by the score of this film. So while working with composer Ludwig Göransson, what specific musical elements did you discuss to help distinguish this film from the TV series?
Oh, interesting. So Ludwig actually came to me. First of all, he was like, he threw his hat in the ring. I didn't know, we'd worked together for a long time. This guy's won a lot of trophies since we started together, and he really did a lot of exploring and helped us define the themes of The Mandalorian and gave us some iconic musical phrases that people recognize, and that's very difficult to do when you're following behind John Williams, who made some of the most iconic themes in cinema history. So the fact that Ludwig even was able to come in for the show and create those themes was a big deal. And the fact that he said, look, we're doing a movie, and I showed him, Ludwig's the type of composer that you bring him in at the beginning and you keep showing him throughout. And he keeps writing things and changing things. But he saw the scope and the scale of it. This is a different aspect ratio. It's in the IMAX format, big set pieces, big sets, big character moments. He felt that the score should reflect that. And so he went much more orchestral. He also developed new themes around new characters. But what I love about it is that 2 hours from end to end, the thing feels like a playlist. It feels like like he's throwing a party. And you get moving in your seat. So you have the set piece with all these great visuals that ILM and all the other vendors are creating. You have these great performances by the stunt performers, and you throw that music on top of it, and it makes you feel a certain way that I don't think you got to feel that way watching at home. And I look so forward to seeing it tonight with an audience. That's the one thing we felt, that I didn't mind the restrictions of doing a streaming show. I really enjoyed working on it. But when we would have a premiere, we would all look at each other and say, I wish we could feel this way every week or more, And so now in the movie theater, it's going to feel a lot more connected to what Star Wars was when I was 10 years old. And Ludwig's music fully embraces that this is a communal experience as a live music concert or a sporting event might be. And I think that's why people come to the movies. They want to come for a shared experience. Your TVs are so nice at home. Streaming is so well done. The content on it, I love streaming shows. I love watching my television at home. But to go to the movie and feel that feeling, you don't get that anywhere else. And we wanted to make sure that we lived up to that.
So it was interesting to note that Ludwig reached out to them to say, hey, I want to score your movie. I guess you can do that when you're an award-winning film composer. It's pretty cool.
It's like, yeah, we were going to get Joseph Shirley or maybe Joel Neely. But,
okay.
McNeely?
Yeah.
McNeely. Kevin Kiner was on the list as well, but you know what? You're the squeaky wheel, so you got the job.
Okay, Ludwig, you got the call.
Yeah.
And what a great job he did. Like, we'll talk about it a little later, but...
Well, I'm sure his price went up, too, after... Hold on, I couldn't hear you. I had the Oscars right next to my ears, so they were muffling all the phone calls that were coming in, and,
Yeah, exactly.
He feels like this generation's John Williams in a way. He's very successful and can do anything, very adaptable, can go a lot of different ways and a lot of different films, and seems to likes to work, right?
Yeah, well, very much like John Williams. He'll do the big blockbusters, the little independent blockbuster franchises, little independent films, and all of his scores sound so different. So this young fella, he's got a career.
Yeah, I'll say.
Right now I was listening to the show going, oh, thank God. Oh, thank goodness.
So to watch the entire roundtable with many of our friends from other Star Wars fan sites, please head to our website. The link to the YouTube video is in the podcast show notes. And once again, Tricia and I plan to revisit this roundtable once we've both seen the film.
And I did watch the roundtable, and I just want to say, I don't know why, but people don't realize that we don't get to coordinate questions. So there's no, say Sarah and Richard or Sarah and I were going to do an interview, we would have like, what we're going to do and kind of lead into it. But you have to have these questions. But every time these roundtables with different fan sites, the questions end up so amazing and diverse and seem to hit everything that if we planned it, I don't know how that happens, but it feels like everything, if we planned it, it works out. But it's sort of just kind of chaos because you're hoping that when am I going to get there and will that question still be available? But
Right.
I love how they work out.
It did. And that one worked out very well, including they were talking and they're talkers, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and they started wrapping up. Like the Disney people were like, you got to wrap up. And there
were
was
four more
people.
outlets that had not asked a question yet.
And Jon Favreau was like, oh, did everyone get to ask a question? No, no one did? Okay, we'll be fast. And so he made them.
He's very considerate. Yeah.
Disney's telling me to wrap it up, but I'm Jon Favreau, so I'll wrap it up when I want to wrap it up.
Exactly, which is why it was 25 minutes and not 20 minutes. So
yeah, with the fan sites, I think everyone at this point they got their own lane.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sarah likes to ask her music question. Tricia, you'd like to ask your story questions. I like to ask my Easter egg questions, and everyone has got their specific questions and their themes they like to go into.
Yeah.
So I think at this point, everyone knows how to work with each other.
Exactly.
All right. So next day, Richard, what happened?
Hold on, gotta put on my Mandalorian Grogu world premiere pass. There we go, right over there. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, go ahead and lead me in there again. What did I do? I saw a little movie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you see the Mandalorian and Grogu world premiere?
Yes, I did. As this press pass will attest. And thank you, Tricia, so much for extending the invitation.
That's so pretty.
I know. Look at that. Oh, it's so great. All in the back it says, do not touch any red buttons. Do not touch any greeblies. Leave all the Tupperware where they are, Sarah. So that right there it picks you out by name.
Oh.
Yeah. So this was held on May the 14th, George Lucas Day. George Lucas's 82nd birthday, and I'm sure they planned that. And the film played at the TCL Chinese Theater and at the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood, California, right there on Hollywood Boulevard. As if people have seen all the world premieres in Hollywood, they shut down the entire block, set up these big tents. Hours later, they rip them up, and traffic is free to move once again. Mm-hmm. This was huge, and I would liken this to Willy Wonka, where after waiting so long to get the golden ticket, you get there and you wait some more, and then you are let in to go crazy. A couple of the outlet, I think James Burns was sucked up into a big chocolate tube, and someone, I think Mark Newbold, was turned into a big blueberry. Oh yeah, it was crazy, very, very Wonka-esque.
A big block of Beskar.
Yes, exactly.
Some turned into that.
Exactly. Yeah. And we were let in to the another room where you can get beverages, you can get candy, you can get all your concessions. But I don't like to eat while I'm going to see a movie like this because I want to focus on the movie. So I bypassed everything, and I wanted to get video footage of all of this. And the whole area was decked out like the Shikari marketplace.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, with all the Arabic neon lights. It was beautiful. In the middle was a speeder, one of the speeders from the production, and it's sitting there without any kind of red rope or red velvet ropes around it. So what's the first thing I'm gonna do? Reach in the cockpit and start touching buttons until someone says, very, very quietly, please don't do that. And I'm too excited. I'm pressing more stuff, and
oh no,
unless it's roped off.
Yeah, but it wasn't. So hey,
did the buttons do anything?
They went click, click,
oh,
click,
okay.
click.
That would be fun if it started up an engine. Whoa!
Yeah. And Vanessa Marshall was right there. She was getting her beverages and popcorn or whatever. I don't even know what it was. It was just big concession stands. But I was just too excited to eat. And she was there, came over and gave me a big hug. What a sweetie pie she is. And then once I entered the second area, we were ushered along the side where you can take photo ops with the big posters.
Okay, this is probably the red carpet, right?
It was
but you were ushered to the.
Not yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you're
Oh,
getting
okay.
ahead of me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So yeah, so there's where the people were getting in line for the red carpet, and I look over, Nick. Hey, look, there's Steve Blum, the voice of Zeb Aurelio, standing right there. So I said, hey, can we get a selfie? Can you say Carabast? And luckily, I had my camera on video, so I got that little bit of him saying Carabast.
Carabast.
That's great.
Nice.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that was a fortuitous accident. And then once we got past that part, then there was the one side was the red carpet, which I try to finagle my way into, but I was quickly ushered to the back into the alley and told to take a hike. There's a little part in the back where you can go around that whole area and get to the other part, the main hub, where they have all the vendors. They have the Anzellan ship sitting right in the middle of Hollywood Boulevard, and this thing is like so adorable. Yeah. It's like a little playhouse for Anzellans.
Can you? Was it set up so you could see like the inside, how
Yes.
they would look? Okay.
The side hatch was down, and a couple of Anzellans were in there.
Oh, cool.
And all around the area, there was the little Burger King kiosk giving away all the toys, and they had some a place giving away the cosmetics,
Okay.
like nail polish and stuff.
Right.
And then they had people just giving away little bits of things here and there, and of course they had all the Nilla wafers you could eat, tons and tons of them.
I saw some celebrity pictures with them walking away with their boxes of Nilla wafers.
Yeah, but I'm holding a camera phone, and I got my bag, and I got things all over me, and things shoved in my pockets. I was wearing my R2 jacket, and
But you know what?
Trying
You
to
did.
look dignified and black tie, right? And
oh yeah, that moment passed, hours ago at that point.
But you did manage to pick up out of the cosmetics. So this what is this? Nail polish, and then some little Grogu
The little nail
decals.
stick-ons.
Decals, yeah.
Yeah, so anyone who had a Mandalorian and Grogu tie-in
Yeah.
was there in this hub.
Mhm.
They had a DJ playing non-Star Wars music, which I never
Aw.
understand.
What is up with
Yeah,
that?
there's almost 50 years of Star Wars music out there, and you're playing Beyonce. Seriously. And there were a lot of Star Wars celebrities hanging around. Omid Obtahi, who was Dr. Pershing in the Mandalorian series. We had met him at Rebel ScumCon. One of the nicest guys in the world. And he remembered us.
Wow.
We shared a van going back to
Yeah.
the hotel. He remembered, oh yeah, I remember you guys. And you guys were a whole lot of fun.
Very sweet.
Yeah, and at that point, they started making announcements to make your way into the theater. And in the forecourt, before you hit the theater, there were more little activation stuff. It's like, why isn't there a sign? I would have gone here a little bit earlier. Because there was the little Nal Hutta photo op that Grogu was sitting on that arch
Little
tree.
log, right?
Yeah, sometimes he was there, sometimes he wasn't.
Oh, was he
And
moving?
I don't know. I didn't see him on there, but I've seen
Oh.
tons of pictures
Okay.
of him on there. When I was there, he was
He was moving,
he was
okay.
taking a break.
Okay, got it.
And then there was the big Lego ATST on the other side of the forecourt. As I'm standing in line, I see Ludwig Göransson. I see him right over there, like 50 feet away, and he's on the phone. So, but yet I'm in line, and the movie's gonna start any minute now. So, oh no, what do I do? I know I need to go over there and get a moment with Ludwig, but yet I am standing in this line to take a picture on this big ATST structure that looked really, really fun. So I'm trying to stand in line, but it's like Sophie's choice. Do I run and get Ludwig, or do I stay here and get a picture here? So I'm like watching him like a hawk. As soon as he puts that phone down, I'm gonna run right over. So he's on the phone, and finally it's my turn. So I'm still looking around the ATST, and okay, he's still on the phone. So I'm gonna run up to the top of this structure, this Lego thing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It really is just a big structure. And my hands are out like, take the picture, please, take the picture. Hoping that woman would take the picture so I can do a shoulder roll back down the stairs and run right over. At that point, he had put his phone down. He was walking up the end of the forecourt, and I ran over and said, please say hello to my wife, Sarah, please.
My wife, Sarah. She loved you. Okay. Hello, Sarah. Hey, Sarah, how's it going?
It's like, oh, this man can do no wrong.
And you got it on video.
And I got it on video. Then we were led into the theater, and I had sat where we sat for The Force Awakens, which is like row 4.
Yeah.
So you're like looking way, way up. But it was like watching a tennis game because you're so close. Your head is going all over the place trying to take it all in.
Yeah.
But, well, I was just so excited, and I warned everyone around me, I'm going to be very loud. I'm going to be very, very loud during this, so just to let you know, okay? And then afterwards, the film let out, and I waited outside the door because I knew all these the stars of the film, the stars of Star Wars. It's great knowing that I saw this movie with the stars of Star Wars. Pedro Pascal is right over here, and I knew if I stood outside with the microphones, I could get a little something. The only one I could really talk to was John Knoll, because everyone else was escorted out another door, and they got into their Enzellan ship and they took off. But I did catch up with John Knowles, and I did get a few words with him because I wanted to know what was the audience reaction like for you. Because I'm sure you'd seen it a million times at this point while they were editing, but what was the audience reaction like? And this is what he said. Mr. John Knoll, tell us about the audience reaction from Mandalorian Grogu.
Oh, it's really fun to see it with an audience. I've been seeing it with the crew, color timing, with the editors for 2 years now, and it's really lovely to see it with somebody who hasn't seen it a million times already. Hear their reactions to the jokes, to the big moments. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
What is your favorite part of the film?
Red Jammer.
Great question to follow out of the screening.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he did talk about the Red Jammer, but it was so loud I couldn't hear him, and security was trying to usher us all out, so I didn't really get what he was talking about. But then as we were walking toward the door, he did explain that this was the ship that George Lucas loaned him to use in the film. It's like, where's the microphone? Say that again. At that point, he had already called an Uber.
But luckily, I had talked to him about it the day before, unbeknownst to you.
Exactly.
So when we go to the Lucas Museum, this ship will be there. We'll be able to visit it. I'm so excited about this. And we are officially Lucas Museum founding members.
Founding members.
Founding members.
Yeah.
My experience, and once again, I had just the greatest time.
So thank you, Tricia.
Yeah. Yay,
I'm
Tricia.
glad you got to enjoy it. Yay. So maybe we should just roll into our non-spoilery discussion of the movie.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, yeah. All revved up now.
I have not seen the movie yet. We're recording this. You guys have seen the movie. And so I'm going to kind of ask the questions and get your reactions. So I don't know anything, so they're not spoiling me either. We're just having a little fun so people can say, oh, what's this going to be like for you? Expectations. And maybe, Richard, I'll ask you first. So after 7 years without Star Wars on screen, how was it to sit down and see Star Wars in a movie theater again?
It was very exciting because, once again, like you said, it's been almost 7 years since we've seen a Star Wars theatrical film. So it just, the nostalgia took me back. And that's, I think, played into most of the excitement.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, I was very overwhelmed in my first screening because I had just had that hour and a half experience at the studios. So my brain was kind of going over that and what I had just done. It was really hard for me to focus on the film. So the next night, I've actually seen this film twice now, because the next night I dropped Richard off at the premiere and I went to see a press screening with my good friend Bryn McKinnon. And I had a really good time watching with her because she is a parent. And a lot of this movie has to do with the father-son relationship. And so she had a totally different perspective on it. And then, of course, every time Grogu was on screen, she would just squeal. And it was so cute. And we just had the best time watching it together.
Obviously, 7 years and we're seeing it. But, like, your expectation of this movie, because we know The Mandalorian and we know some of Grogu's story. Like, what was your expectation for the movie when you sat down?
I did not know where this was going to be set in the timeline. So I didn't know what to expect. Of course, we saw the trailer, so we hadn't had an idea that it's not going to really tie into season 3.
Right.
But still, I love every single season of The Mandalorian, so my expectations were just off the charts. I just could not wait for this film.
According to all I've heard from Jon Favreau and anything, like any reels, anything, he's always been mentioning that, yes, this is a Mandalorian and Grogu adventure, but he really wanted to make sure that new fans would get a similar experience that he did watching that original film, which is you're just blown away, you're like sucked into the world because you're in a story that's already happening, and yet everything is accessible for new fans. And so I was expecting a fun ride, and that's what we got.
Yeah, this was like the Incredicoaster times a million.
Yeah.
Incredicoaster times a
Yeah,
million.
it's-
That's pretty exciting, especially that loop if you're times and get a million.
It's a roller coaster ride, but not just any roller coaster. This is like the Incredicoaster at Disney's California Adventure times a million.
So, Sarah, you're expecting a fun ride,
Mm-hmm.
and in a non-spoilery way, did it deliver on your expectations?
I say yes, it did. It had just so much action. Like, Richard is not wrong. This is like you spring back, you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam, and you're like off.
Up and running.
And this film just goes until one point where it does take a moment to have Grogu develop.
Just like any film, you need your peaks and valleys.
Yes.
But even the valleys were pretty fast.
The climax seemed a little underwhelming just because the opening of this film was so incredible.
Okay, so it plateaued, but still,
It was
that's
fun.
still pretty strong
Yes.
for a film like this.
Yes.
Yeah, you need that plateau so you can get a little bit of a rest.
Yeah, exactly. And there could have been maybe more character development between Mandalorian and Grogu, but at the same token, it was more about the journey here than where we ended up.
Well, like Star Wars, you're dropped into this world, and you can pretty much put the pieces together as you go along. I think the same thing goes with this. It's laid out very clearly, very simply, so you can get dropped right in and get caught right up, and you don't have to do any homework.
Yeah.
And in the same way as A New Hope or Solo, and even the Mandalorian series, this is just so much fun. And I know when a new Star Wars film was coming out years ago, some people would say, what do I need to know before going into this? Or even like the Marvel movies, what do I need? I'm overwhelmed just thinking about going to this. No homework necessary. And I never thought you could get into a film or a show that's already 30 deep into the franchise without doing a little homework. But you know what? This movie proved me wrong. You can get into this and have just as much fun. And the humor, wow, the humor is so on point. Every joke landed very, very strong. There was never okay, that's funny, but every joke was it was a 10 plus.
Yeah, I mean, I only saw the first 18 minutes, but I thought it did a really good job of like establishing, if you didn't know who the Mandalorian was, that he's this like really competent bounty hunter, and the relationship, kind of father-sonish with Grogu, that, Grogu's a child, and he's sort of wants to protect him, but he still has to do his job type of thing, this kind of balance of how do you do that. So even with 18 minutes, they were able to do a lot of heavy lifting. If you didn't know those characters from the show, at least where they are. And that's part of Star Wars, right? People fell in love with it, and it was just in media res. You just dropped into this, there's a spaceship and there's a princess and there's stormtroopers chasing her and she's putting things in a droid and he's gone. Like, so the same way, you kind of just, there was a lot of information that you could absorb in the first 15, 16, 17 minutes. It would tell you everything.
Yeah, a lot of context clues to keep you in the movie.
And it was a simple plot, and you have simple relationships between the characters. It's very easy to follow.
If you've seen the Mandalorian shows, it's pretty much one big, long, extended episode. Very cinematic episode.
Yes.
Cool. So did you guys have a favorite character that from the movie?
Stinky! I loved me some Stinky. And I'm disappointed they never called Rod of the Hutt Stinky. Like just some kind of reference to hey, it's like Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Don't call me chicken. Don't call me stinky. I was like, hoping to get a little bit of that, but I was.
And this is voiced by Jeremy Allen White.
Yeah, of the bear.
Yes.
And I was not expecting such a fully rounded character who was as sympathetic as he was. I was really feeling for this character, and he's got an arc I was not expecting. Maybe that's a twist or a spoiler, but wow, they really fully fleshed out this character. In the trailer, you just see him in the gladiatorial arena. So you're thinking, okay, he's a big brute, and he's just going to be hitting people and punching people and killing people. But wow, they really did a great job with Rada Stinky the Hutt.
And I have to absolutely agree with you, Richard. Rada was my favorite character. He had the best journey. And I love the dynamic of tiny Grogu and huge Rada the Hutt. Both have like these 1,000-year lifespans for their species. Both are relatively young members of their species. And there's this one scene on the beach. It was very cute. Won't go any more into that. But also have to mention here that...
Hold on, just take a second and think about that comment. Rada's on the beach. I think your imagination will take you to where the film goes.
Not to mention, Stinky / Rada was from the very first Clone Wars film that Dave Filoni shared with Jon Favreau at the same time that Favreau showed Filoni Iron Man before both were out and released to theaters. So there's this in-universe and out-of-universe synergy with Rada and Grogu, and they come together here in universe, and it's really cool.
It's a nod to their relationship and where it started.
Yeah.
It all started with a hut.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jon Favreau has been good for Dave Filoni in that way, because John was the one who suggested to use Grogu, right? And that's kind of like, Dave was like, oh, that's like, you can't touch that. And it actually is a thing that worked for The Mandalorian, right? That first episode when you see you're like a baby Yoda, and here he is. John again went back and said, I want to use Rada the Hutt. And I think Dave was sort of like shocked, but in all the storytelling ways, I have an idea of what they're doing with the character in the way that you just mentioned, Richard. There's some neat parallels, and there are also these kind of really iconic images and you can, especially with the Hutt, you can kind of defy the stereotype or the archetype with other characters. So it's a really interesting play for him to like throw these things that maybe Dave would have been a little precious about. And he's, daring him to be a little adventurous and poke at the things that excited him as a child. And he mentions that over and over in interviews, like, this movie like sparked my imagination when I was a kid in the movie theater. And he's just kind of trying to do that again in a different way.
Definitely.
Before the premiere started, he came out and did a little presentation, a little thank you to everyone, and said, my dad brought me here to see Star Wars, and to this theater, right in that seat right over there, and I've never forgotten that feeling.
Back 49 years ago, I got to see Star Wars when I was 10 years old, and that movie changed my life from that first shot. And my dad took me to see it. I sat by his side. He pointed things out, explained to me how cool it was that the X-Wings had oil stains. He later taught me about Kurosawa and all the influences, Hidden Fortress, all the influences, and opened the door for me to love not just Star Wars, but cinema. And I sat by my dad's side 49 years ago watching Star Wars for the first time, and tonight I'm getting to sit next to my dad and watch this movie. So thank you, Dad. Without my dad, I don't know if we'd have any of this. So thanks for sharing with your son your love of movies and being a good dad. And this movie is about a guy who I like to think of as a good dad too. All right, thank you all. Let's start the show.
And it was his mother's birthday, and said the same day as George Lucas's birthday.
Wow, there's all sorts of probably like numerology and astrology tie-ins and whatnot there too. So when I got to go to the prop and set visit, this was like the first time John had brought people in, and he came and spoke to us. So if you listen to the last Fangirls Going Rogue, no, now it's 2 Fangirls Going Rogues ago, you can hear kind of that energy because John speaks, and we play pieces of the interview where that sort of like, I don't know, where he's really sincerely wants to recreate what he felt as a child. You could feel that energy, and he was starting to bubble up with excitement because he knew sharing it was getting, it was a month away for him, and that he was getting ready to be there. And then you guys get to see the end when he is getting to share it and finally get the reactions from the round table and genuinely from a world premiere, which I think is the most exciting thing for you as a director.
I think he knows how powerful nostalgia is. Because if it weren't for that, like he had said, he wouldn't be there right then.
Well, he's worked on so many films that are recreating that nostalgia. The Lion King, Jungle Book. Yeah.
And then continuing on with these franchises to make sure that everyone's got that same feeling he got when he first saw it.
Yeah.
Well, and he's working on Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, which they're filming in the parks, which is sort of like, LA guy. I'm sure he probably hung out at Disneyland.
We've seen him hanging out at Disneyland while he was on the set of that. He and Catherine Hahn.
Yeah.
It's like, I wanted to ask him, how are you juggling all this?
They went into the magic shop.
Yeah,
so cool.
At some point, are we going to see Oswald walk into a shot of the Mandalorian Grogu? It's like, I'm in the wrong film. I'm so sorry. And just take off.
Sarah, how was the music? Because you're the music lady that we always have to get the opinion. And were you able to absorb it and maybe share some insights?
Yes, I was. And I just have to say, the music did blow me away. And actually, when Bryn and I watched it, one of the things she was floored about was the music. So even a non-music person was like, oh my gosh, I really noticed the music. And it is appropriately epic for the scale of this film. There's themes for characters. There's themes for locations. We have opening titles. Now, Richard, this is a big thing for you. This is
I'll get to that in just a little bit.
Okay. But over the opening titles, Ludwig Göransson re-orchestrated the Mandalorian theme with more music for a full, complete orchestra and a choir. And this Mandalorian theme just swells and swells and swells over the opening titles. And it brought me to tears. Both times I saw it. I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. So it was awesome. There's also some great diegetic music for those in-universe moments. And right now, starting today, you can go listen to the soundtrack and you can hear Hugo Durant's Snack Shack. And this is a really awesome, fiddler tune of the Mandalorian theme. And it plays in Hugo Durant's Snack Shack. It also plays at the end credits, which is awesome. Yes, so you can hear the whole theme if you listen to the whole credits, if you stay. Also,
and shame on you if you don't.
Also, Shikari has a really cool EDM kind of sound for that city.
Club music?
Yeah, club music when you go into where Rada the Hutt is fighting, the gladiatorial ring arena. And Nal Hutta also has some really cool different instrumentation. So you get these location music that has very different sounds that you can tell them apart, a la Kiner from the Clone Wars. He has very
worldly music.
Right. And then, once again, the end credits, Ludwig uses the model of John Williams, which is where you have all the themes that you create for the film, you put them in a suite, and you just listen while you watch the credits, and you can hear most of the themes that you hear throughout the movie right there in that suite. So definitely stay through the end so you can hear that, because it's great to listen to that music without sound effects to distract.
Right now, Matt Wood's going, what did she just say?
I know.
What?
And I ran into Matt Wood on the escalator while picking you up.
So Sarah is the music person and Richard is the Easter egg person. So what did we have that maybe people can spot in this movie?
Oh, I love me some Easter eggs, as you know. John Knoll had mentioned during your clip that they use the Red Jammer Y-Wing in the film, and it's got a very, very pivotal role in the film, so much that Ludwig Göransson had composed a whole theme around this moment. So the fact that they used this for A New Hope and now it's in this movie, circle is now complete. But what I did notice while watching it is Din Djarin referred to a Yuzum. I was the only one going like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme of pointing at the screen like, he said it. He said Yuzum. He said Yuzum. And Yuzums, these were creatures that were going to live on Endor with the Ewoks before they were cut from the script. And you do see one Yuzum in Jabba's palace. He's sitting up against the wall with a big blaster. But they brought him back, and now he's the lead singer, the lead male singer of the Max Rebo band we see in Return of the Jedi Special Edition. The furry character, big round body with long spindly legs.
Yeah.
That is a Yuzum. And I've always just loved that name, Yuzum,
It's
so
so
much.
cool.
In fact, that I've used it in all my puppet shows that I do. I'll just throw the word Yuzum in there. Kids love that word. But Din just... He mentions it as a throwaway reference, and I was screaming.
You were the only one
I was
laughing
the
in the theater.
only one, and I'm sure somewhere Jon Favreau was like, "Thank you, whoever that is, thank you." And Hugo Durant, I didn't know that his name was Hugo Durant until like the credits, because I don't think they ever really mentioned his name, but. This is the Ardennian voiced by Martin Scorsese and apparently related to Rio Durant from Solo, who was part of Beckett's crew.
Oh, right. That makes... Oh.
Yes.
Oh, so he's related.
So he must be related, unless Durant is just a very common name among Ardennians.
Right.
And his name is Rio Durant, which is a very big nod to Duran Duran and their album Rio.
Oh.
So I would have loved it had they named this character like Hungry Like the Wolf Durant or the Reflex Durant.
But doesn't Hugo refer to a film?
Yes, that's Martin Scorsese's 2011 film.
There you go. Okay.
So I'm sure it was referred to that, but
right.
How about like the Wild Boys Durant? Something more. Let's get into this Duran Duran theme. You already started it, so why drop it now?
That's cute.
Yeah, and another I think another Easter egg, we may have gotten an original trilogy character in the opening. I'm not going to say who it is.
Okay.
But during the opening credits, there's a very fast shot of an original trilogy character, and we never see this character again.
I think you may be right, but we'll have to keep our eyes peeled when
Keep
next
your
we see
eyes
it.
peeled, folks.
For the in the very beginning. And
Okay.
there's a few more, but we'll let the Skywalkers and the Yub Nubbers find them themselves, and I'm sure we'll be
Yub
talking about
Cubs.
this later on.
Yes.
All right. So creatures, because we've seen a lot of creatures in the trailer. So how do they stack up to past Star Wars films and shows?
Okay, so I was struck by the difference in creatures from this film versus, let's say, The Force Awakens. Because in The Force Awakens, it's clear that J.J. Abrams really wanted to put his own stamp on the Star Wars universe with lots of new aliens. You have Andor, where there's hardly any aliens. But going back to The Force Awakens, Maz Kanata is a good example. She's a really cool character, totally new alien that has no bearing on the past, really. However, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they are original trilogy fans. They played with the toys. They had stories going on in their heads with these original trilogy characters, and now they are able to bring these characters to life with new technology. So the Hutts are a huge prime example of this. We see Hutts as we've never, ever seen them before. And also...
now they're moving, not just sitting on a dais.
Yeah. And also, Richard, do you have an example?
Well, I got a lot of them. I love me some creatures, and I love the big monsters. And when I saw the trailer with the Jarek creatures... I think I put myself in carbonite just so nothing would happen to me until I saw this movie. So excited about this. And can we say that...
Go what?
We see all 8 of them. We see
okay.
all 8 of these creatures. In the trailer, we just saw that one big blue one. But now we see all of them. They're all here. And 2 of them even reenact a moment from A New Hope when R2 and Chewie were playing the game. They reenact a moment that in itself is a big Easter egg. And I think I was the only one to go, look, they did the thing. So I love the fact that they brought these characters in.
He said he was going to give things to sops to, longtime fans. So it was, you get rewarded as well for something like that, where you're like, oh, I know what that's pointing to.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I have to say that Brent and I were also like pointing at the screen like Leo DiCaprio in that moment.
And if you don't know the creatures, you don't know them, and it still works.
Yeah.
But if you know the creatures, oh my god, you're turning into orange goo in your seat.
Then I mean, yeah, so they don't really make up new aliens. They just bring to life in a way you've never seen before these creatures that you couldn't do much with. Like, for instance, Jabba's palace, there was an Amani creature and a Man-a-Man.
Yeah.
Okay, explain this,
Yeah,
Richard.
the Man-a-Man, it was like a big banana creature that was just in the background. They just wanted all these different kinds of looking creatures. So they
never literally
this
moved on
big
screen.
creature played by a woman who was stuffed in this suit, and she didn't even know when they were rolling or when they cut. She was just stuffed in there, and you see him when Jabba points to Han Solo on the wall. The camera pans over, and you can see the Man-a-Man character right in the middle of the frame for a couple of seconds before it hits Han Solo. You see the character there, and then when Luke, Han, and Chewie are brought before Jabba to seal their fate, to determine their fate, you see this character in the background. Looks like a giant banana. But when we saw this in the trailer, a lot of us kids who played with these toys as kids were going crazy, because finally we get to see what these characters do, what these creatures do. Because
this was an action figure.
This was an action figure first and foremost. I had so many friends who this character was not in the film, but it's a fun looking character, so I'm going to play with it. And they have a big part in this story.
Mm-hmm. There's one point where they release the Amani.
Yes.
And then you'll see them.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Oh my goodness.
I think I might know the answer to this then, but so does the movie deliver on your expectations, Richard?
Speaking to us original trilogy fans and the hardcore fans, yes, it did. But with that said, I was kind of hoping for a story that transcended the series. However, we just really got a typical episode on a much grander scale. I was happy with it, but rewatching The Mandalorian right now and seeing the season closer for season 2, where you see Luke Skywalker come in with a big twist, I was kind of hoping for something like that. Basically, Mando has a mission to take out Imperial warlords, but he has to take several side steps to complete his mission, which is what he does in the show.
Right.
So I was even hoping for something more on the lines like season 3, where you get to expand the lore, but they couldn't do that with this movie because they had to bring in new fans. So
yes.
I understand their reasoning. I was just hoping for something just a little bit more grand.
Oh, I know. Season 2 is Luke Skywalker moment. I think it's going to be really hard to top.
Yes.
For at least the first episode, maybe we'll get a second. It's right, the second movie, right, that you get the grand.
Yes, the world expands.
This one, they have to set everything up.
Yes.
Then they can start giving their twists and turns, and maybe we find out Rada the Hutt's real mother is Ahsoka. That would tie into the Clone Wars film.
There you go.
Or in the second movie, Ahsoka comes out and says, "Hey, Stinky."
That'd be so cool. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm really I'm with you, Richard. I really enjoyed it. It's a fun ride of a film. A lot like Solo, a Star Wars story, where it's a fun ride. You enjoy it. It does not further Star Wars lore at all. So just be aware of that, and you will have a good time.
Yeah. It's your summer popcorn movie.
Mm-hmm.
You sit there, you chew your popcorn,
and
you have fun with
Grogu
it.
is so cute, it won't even matter. You're just gonna be like, "Oh, Grogu! Oh, it was so cute! Oh!" Every other scene, "Oh my God, he's so cute!"
And then when you get the Anzellans in there, calling him a bad, terrible
Shut
baby,
up!
Just cannot get enough of that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be used a lot. Bad baby.
Hey.
The horrible baby. The bad baby.
Yes. Shirley Henderson has put her stamp on history.
Yes,
She's the
and
voice
Harry
of the
Potter,
Anzellans.
and now.
Yep.
And now, what's she playing Harry Potter?
She plays Moaning Myrtle.
Moaning Myrtle.
Yeah.
And now.
And now the Anzellans.
And now the Anzellans.
I do have a tip. So definitely stay through the end credits because you don't want to miss that beautiful score by Ludwig Göransson, and it really it sets you on your way with a little jig in your step.
Now, along with all that, I can say that in my head, I was counting down all the firsts in this movie. First of all, like we had mentioned earlier, there's opening credits. There's opening credits to this film. We've never had opening credits, and George Lucas went to the mat to make sure there was never any opening credits. He was sued so much money. So yeah, there were beginning credits. That really bowled me over. And first Star Wars film, no lightsabers. And the first Star Wars film to be shot entirely in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Right up the street from where we live in Long Beach, they shot a Star Wars movie. Yeah, the whole, in the credits it said shot entirely in Long Beach, in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
We've had certain second unit shooting in Los Angeles.
Yeah, but the whole film.
Not the first film. Not the entire film.
And when I went to pick you up after the premiere, we went to Scum and Villainy Cantina where we saw some of the people who worked on the movie because they were hanging out there after the premiere.
Unfortunately, they didn't get a chance to see it.
I
And
know,
some of them
they
were
didn't.
even in the movie, so they're like, okay, did they cut me out or not?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what they wanted to know. It's like, I can't tell you, but you know what? You after the scene you just told me about, don't expect to be happy at the end of the movie. So after 7 years, we finally got a new Star Wars movie. But now, this is not the Mandalorian film that they talked about at Celebration in London. That was going to be like a season 4 film where they tied in all of the other Mandoverse, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew,
Thrawn.
and all the book of Boba Fett, all those into one. But now this is a whole different film on top of that. So hopefully season 4 will be a theatrical film. Do you know how that'll happen? By everyone going to see this movie and really blowing expectations out of the water.
Yeah, the nice thing about this movie, though, is that he didn't make it for a lot of money. So you want them to be considered a success based on their expectations as how they invested in it as a business. So, this doesn't necessarily have to be as big as the Star Wars movies we've seen to be a success. So the right way to do it.
I think they were judging it by a $100 million opening to be a success. I think you can do that very easily.
I think so. All right, people, buy your tickets. Go see it. Well, thank you, Tricia, for joining us today. And where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on the socials at Fangirl Cantina or at FG Going Rogue for Fangirls Going Rogue. You can find my website, fangirlblog.com, where I write about Star Wars and storytelling. And you can find my Hyperspace Theories podcast there where I talk about storytelling. And you can always go to fangirlsgoingrogue.com to find Sarah and I doing the female thing for Star Wars and talking about music, storytelling, merchandise, all the things that we like to talk about.
And I can't say enough. Thank you so much, Tricia, for extending the invite. Without you, this wouldn't have happened.
Woohoo!
That wraps up episode 558 of
Skywalking Through Neverland. And where are we once again? The TCL Chinese Theater on the forecourt. Julie Gildersleeve is doing a 360 to show everyone where we are. And pan right over there. Look, there's James Gildersleeve. Right? Hey, James. And we just got our tickets. Everyone now has their tickets.
Yep. All right. So please subscribe on YouTube and follow us on socials at Skywalking Pod.
And a big thank you to Tricia Barr for making all the Mando madness happen.
Yep. We want to thank you, Skywalkers. Big thanks to our sponsor, Small World Vacations. Head to smallworldvacations.com for a no-obligation price quote and tell them Skywalking Through Neverland sent you.
Now join us every Monday at 6 p.m. for Things We Want to Share, where you can share your stories. We'll be sharing plenty of these stories to come. Lots and lots of stories.
Now, we are part of the Skywalking Network,
Skynet, where you can find more great shows like Talking Apes,
Star Warsologies,
and many, many more.
Now stick around for bloopers and other fun bits that didn't make it into the show, and always remember, everyone,
Never land on Alderaan. Do a switch pan to Craig. Never land on Alderaan. And Tim, never land on Alderaan.
Ever. Just don't do it.
See, we've been telling you guys for weeks and months and 13 years. Now it's time for more raffles. See you guys later on. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Hollywood.
Yeah, Mandalorian Grogu. Right? There we go. Oh, I'm sorry, you have to do it.
I do the clappy claps, okay? I do the clappy claps, Phasma.
You know when you go to a restaurant and you're sitting next to the kid who just cannot sit down in a seat because he's so excited for whatever it is, and you want to just leave because the kid is just jumping out of his skin? That was like me. I was like just jumping up and down in my seat, and I kind of felt like Grogu at a point in the movie where Grogu is jumping up and down on a. Won't tell you why he's jumping up and down,
right.
But I felt just like that when I saw that scene in the film of Grogu jumping. I thought, oh, that's like me right now. Yeah, Pedro Pascal's behind me. Yeah, he's like kicking me. Would you please stop jumping?
And clappy claps. Very good.
Well, Tricia only did 2. It feels very incomplete. Waiting for the other shoe to drop. That's the title.
I'm like Mando's theme. I'm like Maul's theme. I'm unresolved right now.
In 1983, when press would ask Mark Hamill, what did you want to call Return of the Jedi, since they just changed the name, he always said, I wanted to call it The Other Shoe Drops. One of those deep cut references.
Yeah, I just thought of something. Richard, can we flip these? So I'm doing the first part. Let's flip it. So I'll do the first paragraph, you do the second.
Sure.
Okay, there we go. Ready?
Ready.
Here we go. I ran into both of them, and I was like, Matt Wood, Ben Burt.
Good.
And that's all. Good. Yeah, that's all. I was like,
go hang out with Jeff Caffrey. No matter where he is, he's getting a selfie with everybody. Hey, look at those names to the left. They are part of the Skywalking Force, our Patreon.
Become a producer yourself and check out all the Disney Plus themed bonus content available depending on the level you subscribe.
Become a member of the elite Skywalking Force at skywalkingforce.com.